Okay, today I'm going to talk to you about how to revise a passage and the techniques you can use to help students be successful on this type of work. So because it's a revising passage, it's really important for the kids to read the passage before they begin so they truly understand what the passage is talking about, what they're going to be asked to do. So we want them to read it. We do not need a pencil in our hand to do this. So with revising, all the work is done after we've read. So they'll read the first piece, and then they will move to the questions. So we're going to look at specific questions. We don't want to look at everything right now. What I want to focus in on is after they've read it, a question like this. This is common on STAR, and they really like this. Now it is 4.11C for our teams. We're going to use this older passage today just to practice it so that you understand how to teach this to students. So the first thing is, it says, what is the best way to combine sentences 13 and 14? So what we want the kids to do is go back to sentences 13 and 14 and read these two sentences very carefully because we must make sure we keep the meaning correct. Through the years, the Rangers have acted as scouts, horsemen, and defenders. Their role continues today. So when we look at that, we want to make sure that the kids understand this is a complete thought. This is also a complete thought. So sometimes they'll give them fragments and ask them to combine them. This time, though, they're complete thoughts. So when we look at this, we're going to ask the kids to play a little game of find the differences. So we want them to really think about what makes each of these sentences different, because right now it looks like a lot of words on the page and they're all very similar. It can really confuse students if they're trying to do this work. So we're going to ask them to highlight those differences. So right here we have a comma but. This one has a comma, and then there's no fanboy. This one has a comma and. This one also has a comma and. We're going to go further. So we have seen all of these changes. And then I'm going to go on, and I'm going to keep looking. Their role continues today, their role continues today, their role continues today, their role, comma, continues today. So it is a little bit of work for them to really look through here. Now, I'm going to look at this beginning through the years, comma, through the years, comma, through the years, comma, through the years, comma. So all of those are the same. Ranger is capitalized each time, so there's no change there. Then we have this scouts, comma, horsemen, comma, and defenders. So I want to make sure that the commas remain in all of those. And I see that they do there, and there, and there. So it's a little bit of a game. So now that we have the changes, the differences, all highlighted, we want to follow the rules for editing. So on this type of a passage and this type of a question, we have 3 rules. 1, the meaning must stay the same. So we can't change the meaning of the author's original intent. 2nd, it has to be grammatically correct. And 3rd, it shouldn't repeat phrases that could be combined. So we're going to look through and we're going to analyze each of these choices to see what happens. Through the years, the Rangers have acted as scouts, horsemen, and defenders, but their role continues today. So we would ask the kids, does but really match up to what they're asking? But it's a conflict word, right? So that doesn't really meet the intention of the author. The next one, through the years, comma, the Rangers have acted as scouts, comma, horsemen, comma, and defenders, comma, their role. Now, if we have read this and the kids understand that these 2 sentences that we're looking at are sentences on their own, then we know that we can't combine 2 sentences without a fanboy and a comma. So right here, this becomes a run-on. And there goes that one for the rule of has to be grammatically correct. H, through the years, comma, the Rangers have acted as scouts, comma, horsemen, comma, and defenders, comma, and their role continues today. So we have the comma and the fanboy. This is a complete sentence. This is a complete sentence, so we're good to go. So let's look at this next one. Through the years, comma, the Rangers have acted as scouts, comma, horsemen, comma, and defenders, and comma, and their role, comma. This comma here has no rule. It is not an introductory dependent clause. Their role, subject, verb, and then preposition at the end. So, with that being said, this does not have a rule, so we can eliminate making H the correct answer. Whenever kids are doing this type of work, step by step, having them work through, we want to make sure that the kids understand, yes, this looks like a lot, but if we ask them to do one thing at a time, they should be able to follow. So, of course, we're going to first read the passage, make sure we understand it. Then we're going to find the sentences that they're asking us to combine and analyze it. These two were sentences, so we're going to be able to combine them, in this case, by adding a fanboy, a comma and a fanboy. Sometimes the two sentences are so similar that they could be compound subjects or compound predicates. So since we understand what this is asking, we can go through. Now, none of these choices actually change the meaning outside of this one with the but. Sometimes, however, it does change the meaning. So we want to make sure that the kids understand the three rules that we want them to apply when they are writing and revising. So we have our rules here, okay? I would put this up on a poster for kids somewhere in the room so that they have it visible. And we want to make sure that they are analyzing enough and explaining. I wouldn't make them write it all down. They don't need to do that for this type of work. But if you were to be walking by their desk and they've eliminated a choice, you should be able to ask them which one of these it's doing. So if it's really the right answer and the kids have marked it wrong, find out why they marked it wrong. They may say, oh, because it's not the same meaning. And so then you're talking more about their understanding of the sentence and what the author's intent was, and you can reread that with them and talk to them about without giving it away. If they say it's wrong because there's a grammatical error, maybe they are misunderstanding the rule, and that tells you different information about the student's direction and what they're thinking. Or repeated phrases. Sometimes kids get confused on this one because they think the word a and the are repeated phrases. We're not talking about simple words in between. We're talking about bigger words like museum or horseback riding and things like that. Those words that should be able to be combined. There are times when you can, and so making sure the kids are really reading the sentence and making sure is that the best. Okay, so these rules should be posted, and I would model for the students one or two examples of doing this as a class. Once they've done it as a class with you and practice, then put them in groups. Have them do this work as a team because you'll have kids that are going to be able to see things that other ones are struggling to see, and then they can talk it out. We always want that oral rehearsal and really talking through the process. It makes it a lot easier on the kids when they're doing that work before you ask them to do it independently. And then if you have some students that are still struggling, you're going to want to walk them step by step. That's the other thing you may want to put up on a poster or an anchor chart is, when we revise, we read the entire passage first and go through the steps that you're going through with the kids and write that down for them. Most of your students won't need it, but there are going to be a few kids that are going to need a little bit more step by step, or they just get nervous and want that. So having those available to the kids as you work through this at the beginning makes a huge difference.